This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Go to https://profitability-movement.mn.co to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here's how we will help your business and you today. It's summer. It's really busy, and I'm going to keep the next few podcasts short and give you one or two ideas that you can implement immediately in the summertime to help you get and stay profitable and keep your cash flow. One of my clients a couple of years ago had his service manager and his top 4 technicians walk out right as the hot summer hit. Literally, the day before the hot summer hit, they all resigned, okay? So what happened and how did he survive the summer? And I'm going to tell you the story during this podcast and then give you some of the things that really apply today and how you might deal with some of the issues that we're having with supply issues. Because now we have supply issues and some of you don't have people issues, but we have to get equipment. But anyway, so literally the day before it got hot, literally that week, his service manager put in his 2 weeks notice, his top 4 technicians put in their 2 weeks notice, and they walked out the door. Now, there were signs that this was going to be happening. I saw them. I told the owner about it, and he didn't listen. So here he is stuck with his 2 most junior technicians, and he had 6. He now has his 2 most junior technicians, and they have to go through a hot summer with the 2 most inexperienced guys that he had. So imagine that you had on your dispatch schedule enough work to keep 6 technicians busy. How did 2 technicians deal with what 6 technicians used to deal with, and the 2 being the most junior with the least experience? The plan was this, and it actually did work. Those 2 junior technicians worked their butts off. And what they ended up doing is every morning they would have a technical session about some of the things that they were likely to see. They would review some of the service calls that they had gone on the day before to figure out who, what, when, where, why, and how they could have diagnosed and made them, quicker and not made mistakes and not have callbacks and warranty calls. So every morning, these guys came in for a half-hour meeting, technical training meeting every single day. We also knew that finding experienced technicians in the middle of summer was probably not going to happen. And it didn't, because every experienced tech who's really good is going to be working. The only ones who are out there are those who aren't any good, who have callbacks, and who say they know what they're doing, but actually don't. And contractors like you can't put up with that. The warranty calls and callbacks are way too critical, hurtful, whichever you want to call it, when it's summertime. Yeah, they're bad when it's slower, but when they're summertime, taking away revenue producing calls is almost, it hurts so much. So we knew that we couldn't find additional technicians, and we knew that the 2 technicians who were there were willing to do what it took. And we had a conversation with them, and the owner had a conversation with them. All right, so that's the technical side. And by the end of the summer, they were really, really, really good techs. They had their acts together. They knew how to diagnose. They knew how to talk to customers. They knew what was going on because they had intensive training every single day. And okay, that's the technician side. But what about the customer side? Remember, we're going from 6 technicians to 2 technicians. So the CSRs and the dispatchers were honest with the customers. They said, look, this is what happened. We have a situation where we only have 2 technicians right now, and this is the soonest that we can get there. and they explained it and they talked to the customers, and the customers, I do not think they lost more than a few customers over the entire summer. Literally, the customer said, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And they understood. They actually did stay, most of them. Now, who did they take care of? They took care of their maintenance customers first. The maintenance customers are the ones who signed a piece of paper. They're loyal to the company, and the company has to be loyal to them. So whatever happened during the day, if a maintenance client customer called in, that maintenance customer got taken care of first. And then the customers who had done business with them, over the past 2 or 3 years came second. And then those who, were calling around and something along those lines, they fit them in as they could. All right, so this happens no matter what. Think about it. And this is the thing that you absolutely have to have. Your maintenance agreement clients come first, no matter what. They have signed a piece of paper with you, and you've got to be loyal to them because they are loyal to you. Many of you are in situations right now, and especially coming out of COVID last year, where nobody wanted you in their homes, and then everybody wanted you in their homes, and you had to take care of your maintenance agreement clients first. And everybody else, I'm sorry, our first available appointment we'll call you the day before to make sure you still need somebody to come out. You have to take care of your maintenance agreement clients. All right, it's not an option. It has to happen. And we're seeing this now. And, the first hot day, one of my clients got, I think, 300 phone calls or somewhere around there in the first day when the hot weather hit here in Atlanta. And again, we prioritize them: maintenance agreement clients first, warranty clients first. And then we take care of those customers who've done business, and then we put everybody else, when we can get to them. And we call them the day before to make sure they still need somebody to come out. And sometimes they found somebody. So a lot of times they can't, because everybody is still in the same situation. So that's what happened in this company. They took care of maintenance agreement clients first. Then they took care of customers who had done business with them in the past 3 years. And then they fit in everybody else as they could. So that's essentially what happened. When we get back from break, I will tell you the rest of the story. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. We'll be right back.
You can't. That's what my daughter Kate told me when I said I wanted to make financials fun. The gauntlet was laid down. The red blanket was waved in front of the bowl. Ronan the Rubber Duck was born. This ebook is a whimsical look at financials from a duck's perspective. To get this fun, easy-to-read Kindle book, go to Amazon and search for Ronan the Rubber Duck Dives into Financials. That's RONAN, the Rubber Duck Dives into Financials. Let me know if I made financials fun for you.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening to Contractor Sense. Before the break, I told you the story of one of my clients who lost his service manager and his top 4 technicians right before the hot summer hit. We talked about the fact that the technicians had intensive training every morning. When they got there for half an hour, they learned all the technical things they needed to do. They went through all their calls the previous day. They learned what they needed to learn. And the customers, when people called in on the phone, maintenance agreement clients got taken care of first, then customers who had used them in the past, and then they fit in people who were just calling around. So again, maintenance agreement clients come first. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, and yes, I'm dating myself when I say broken record, but they really and truly do need to come first. And so they did that. All right, so this was started in May. And we went through May and June and July. And by August, everything that was going to break that summer had broken. So August started to calm down a little bit. By September, everything was pretty much calmed down. And the owner then started looking for service technicians in September because other companies were laying people off because they didn't need them anymore. crazy, crazy, crazy things. So he found another, slowly found some more technicians. And the two technicians who had stayed with him over the summer, he gave them a big thank you. I mean, they were exhausted, number one. Think about it. Just think about all the overtime that they did, all the training that they did. They were exhausted. So he sent them all on a cruise, sent the two of them on a cruise with their wives. He paid for the entire thing, and they rested for an entire week. And they were very appreciative of the thank you. And obviously, he paid them and everything along those lines. But he actually did take care of them and got them to rest for a week. Now, did they actually rest? Yeah, I think they played a little bit on the cruise. But it was something that it was a very big thank you from him. It was something that he really appreciated what had happened. And overall, he started building a really good culture, and he made sure of who he hired in the future, that they were loyal, not to the service manager, but loyal to the company. It was very obvious, at least from me coming in from the outside, that these technicians were not loyal to the company. They were loyal to the service manager. And the owner and I had a conversation about that. And the service manager was loyal to himself. He wasn't loyal to the company either. And you could tell by how he said what he said and things along those lines. So we knew something was going to happen. Did we expect him to walk out right before hot season? No, but it did. He survived. And the company did incredibly well. And he ended up selling the company about 10 years later with a huge lesson learned and a very, very strong service department to go along with the sale. So, all right, that's the story. Hopefully it will never, ever, ever happen to you. But we're dealing with it now from a very different perspective. Instead of not being able to find service technicians, we're, some of you, finding people is still really hard, but we can't, in many, many, many cases, find equipment. Equipment is 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, and, quote unquote, everybody's in the same boat. However, there have been some companies who shall remain nameless at this point, who have had very strong cash flow and very strong balance sheets, who were able to, I had one company who literally purchased $500,000 of equipment in April. They estimated the amount of equipment that they were going to need for this summer, and they wrote a check for $500,000 in May. They didn't want to be caught without equipment for the summer. They estimated what did they need based on what had happened last year, and they wrote a check. So some of you are in the same position there. They don't have to worry about equipment. They have it. Some of you are not in a position where you can do that. However, you can maintain your loyalty to a specific supplier, a specific distributor, a specific manufacturer, because those who have been loyal and those who have paid their bills and those who are buying equipment from them on a regular basis are the ones who are getting the equipment first. So when this is all over and the supply chains go back to quote unquote, whatever the new normal is, you have to be loyal to somebody, some company, some manufacturer, some vendor, some supplier, because these are the ones that are being taken care of first. And something like this will happen again. I'm not saying it's going to happen next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, but it will happen. And as long as you build up the cash, i.e. save 1% of every dollar that comes in the door and don't touch it. And now that it's busy, it's very easy to save that 1%. The tougher part is like in February next year, when it's a little bit harder to save the 1%, but save it. Can you write can you write a $500,000 check for inventory? They could. So they didn't have to worry about equipment. And think about it, all the other people in the area, not all of them, I don't know for a matter of fact, but I would say a lot of them couldn't get equipment. And it's hot, and Mrs. Jones wants her system installed. Now, this is the company that has equipment. Who do you think she's going to go to? Who do you think she's going to go to, even if the price is a little bit higher? Now, I'm not asking you to gouge anybody, but you still have to make your net profit per hour. And since all of the supplies are increasing in price rapidly, most of the manufacturers have already had 2 price increases, and I'll bet there'll be a 3rd one by the end of the year. I mean, you have to raise your prices. Everything's going up. So be loyal, save cash, and build a great culture for your employee base so you can make sure that the team and your employees are loyal to the company, not necessarily loyal to any one individual. So thank you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.